So it's December, and I'm not surprised that I'm already getting questions about 1099s, which in the US includes, hey Lisa, 1099s are, when somebody says 1099, generally what they mean is a 1099 MISC, stands for miscellaneous, MISC, and it's generally issued to service providers for whom an organization has paid $600 or more in a given year. Not all service providers though, only service providers who are not a corporation. If their organization name ends in Inc. or Corp, they don't require a 1099. But an LLC or a sole proprietorship, for example, or a PLLC, if they provide services and they get paid $600 or more in a given calendar year, regardless of if anybody's on a fiscal year or not, we don't care, IRS calendar year, then a 1099 is issued. The question is, what information do we need to have ready to send out 1099s on time this year? So woo, for 1099s on time. Now, let me tell you, IRS is trying to like center tax practitioners to take responsibility for whether or not the 1099s are on time. Like, never mind if a nonprofit or for-profit doesn't have the information timely, whatever, like when the tax return gets filed, it's a tax preparer who has to check off this little box, like, did you file the 1099s? And the IRS has now put that on the tax preparer's shoulders. And this one little checkbox, like, has people all in angst, the tax practitioners, and rightly so. I mean, we're kind of declaring something, and we're not gonna, most tax preparers aren't gonna say that something's so when it's not. So with the IRS putting in that extra checkbox, now more people want to file on time because their tax practitioners are prodding them like, hey, get me your stuff this year. I need to file on time or else I can't check. I have to check no for that checkbox. So this is the information that you need to have. You need to have the name, the legal name of the entity that has been getting paid. If you've been paying a person, but it turns out that that person, it's a sole proprietorship or an LLC and has a name, well, first of all, that's a problem. And if anybody wants to know what we can do proactively to prevent problems in 1099s, just ask and I'll tell you that too. But you need to have the correct name, because if the name that you use when you file your 1099s with the IRS is not the same as what they have on file, they're gonna kick it back and then you're gonna have extra work to do. And that work is not fun work, unless you're a tax practitioner and you're getting paid extra for it, which is not likely to happen because very few people want to pay extra for the extra work. It's a real pain. So you want to get it right the first time. You want to have the tax ID or the social security number, whatever the entity that the organization paid, whatever they're using officially with the IRS, you need to have that information. You need to have a signed W-9 in your possession. And a W-9 is probably the easiest form that the IRS has. If you're a service provider, what you do is you pretty much put your name, your entity type, your tax ID, and your address, and you sign and date it, and that is all. So if you're an organization that has purchased services, $600 or more, from a non-Inc. or a non-corp during the year, you're going to want to collect a W-9, have that on hand, and so to make sure you have their address. So in other words, name, tax ID, and address. And to really protect yourself in case of audit, have a W-9 on hand for every service provider who's not incorporated. And if you really want to go for extra credit, ask even vendors with an Inc. or Corp. They provide services to your organization. Ask them for a W-9 too. W-9 also. Just for the bonus round. Just in case you thought they were an Inc. and they turned out to be an LLC, and oops, you were supposed to issue a 1099, but you didn't, and now the IRS is coming after you for 28% backup withholding. What do you mean? I already paid them $10,000. Well, we don't care. We want that 28%, and it's your fault. You should have withheld it. And then, oh, but if you can say, look, they said they were an Inc. and I have the form to prove it, then that's one more piece of defense. Because the last thing you want to do is pay more than you've already paid. So that's the information that you need to have on hand. Make sure that that information is transmitted in a secure way. You don't want to go emailing people's social security numbers. There's a great app called Track 1099. Your tax preparer probably has it. If you're a tax preparer and you don't have it, you're right, you're taking notes, right? Track 1099. Yeah, so let me know if anybody has any other questions about 1099s, how to avoid problems or who's supposed to get one, etc.